has a master plan, and I'm going to tell you what I think it is. But before that'll make sense, we'll answer the question of how Apple managed to create one of the most profitable and loyal fan bases on the planet. It's actually really simple. It's the principle of simplicity. But creating simplicity for the user actually means a lot of work behind the scenes. Take the Apple Pencil. When I put it down, it rolls up until the word pencil is facing up, and then it'll just stop. That means if I put it down now, it won't keep rolling. It won't fall off the table, it'll just sit there. It's such a simple trick as far as the user is concerned that you don't realize it's happening. But Apple spent months working on the weight distribution for the Apple Pencil, or product packaging for the iPhone or iPad, for example. Apple tested hundreds of different prototypes just to get a box that opens at a constant velocity that when you lift the lid, it's not so slow that it's annoying, but it's slow enough that it builds anticipation for when you see your new phone. This concept of creating simplicity, Apple uses it for everything. Take product announcements, for example. Tech companies just keep talking. Huawei's Twitter page, for example, makes 5 announcements a day. There's a promotional offer, or they're sharing a review someone's left. And then you realize that Huawei's got 15 different accounts for doing this. And at the same time, they've got billboard ads and YouTube ads and Facebook ads all year round. And you kind of care, but because you see so much of this messaging from other companies, Huawei's messaging blends into Samsung's messaging, which blends into LG's messaging, and it all just becomes noise. So what does Apple do? Apple is silent for 95% of the year. They have 7.6 million followers on Twitter, but they've never made a proper tweet. And so when Apple does make an announcement, it's like the whole tech world stops to listen to what they have to say. It's not like Apple is any more important than Samsung, it's just that Apple keeps it simple. They just talk when they have something big to say, and that's that. And I think in that sense they do it right. Simple is even how Apple addresses its products. And I won't lie to you, this can be kind of annoying for tech-savvy people like us who want specs and numbers. Apple doesn't communicate features, they talk about benefits, for the simple reason that this makes people feel something. You might remember when they launched the first iPod. I wasn't born yet, however, from reading up on it and hearing stories about it, I wouldn't say it was anything groundbreaking. If all they did was just to say, look, we've got a new MP3 player, it's got 5 gigabytes of storage, I don't think anyone would have cared. But the angle Apple took was, this product will give you 1,000 songs in your pocket. Think about that line, and when you think about it, you're probably not thinking anymore about a dull box and storage capabilities. You're thinking about your own playlists and flicking it through it on your iPod with your favorite song being blasted through your ears. The final thing Apple does to make simple for the customers is Apple pretends other brands don't exist. They don't mention other companies, they don't compare benchmark scores to Samsung, only in the fine print will they say compared to X chip with Y graphics. All they say is that this model is X faster than last model, and that's all you need to know.
You're on a need-to-know basis, and you don't need to know.
And I think this subconsciously affects every single person who drops what they're doing to listen to Apple. It changes the question in their head of which phone do I buy to which iPhone do I buy. And for the people who are already in that ecosystem, it creates lock-in. It means from that point forward, when you buy your first iPhone, the only decision you have to make from that point onwards is, do I buy this iPhone or do I wait until next year's model? And Apple does the exact same thing with its ecosystem products. They act like AirPods are the only earphones on the planet, that the Apple Watch is the only watch you could ever consider buying. It's almost like they live in a parallel universe where the only tech products that exist are Apple products. Here's the thing, the way that they've managed to connect with people through simplicity means that Apple fans follow suit. You probably know a few people who have an iPhone, they have AirPods, they might even call themselves tech enthusiasts. But really the only tech that matters to them is Apple tech. Apple is killing it right now, and no stats better represents this. They have around 28% of the mobile market, which is great in itself. But with this, they also have 66% of all profits. That's 2/3 of the market. Crazy because Apple makes their own chipsets too. For every phone that they sell, they save the $3 or $5 cut that every Android maker has to give straight to Qualcomm. So more profit for Apple. But this is where we start to look forward because Apple's been acting weird, doing the things recently that seem very un-Apple. And my theory as to why is because smartphone sales are falling. This in itself is not surprising. A lot of the people who just want a working smartphone now have a working smartphone. But what is interesting is how over the last few years, Apple has slowly but surely changed tact. Historically, Apple has been perfectly happy with this market share because they make so much profit per model. However, when this pool of people who are buying new phones starts to shrink, then tech companies have to start looking for profit in other places. Enter subscription-based services like Apple Music and Apple Fitness Plus. And here's the beauty of one of these subscriptions. Instead of a normal purchase, where companies have got to convince you to buy a product this year, next year, and then the year after that, with subscription-based services, you've only got to be convinced once. And then providing it doesn't disappoint you or it messes up, that's steady, predictable income. How much income, you might ask? Well, Apple currently has 8 main subscriptions on offer. You've got Apple TV Plus and Apple Arcade, which both cost $4.99 a month. You've got Apple Music, which starts at $4.99 for the voice plan, but you probably want the individual plan, which costs $11.99 per month. Apple News Plus and Apple Fitness Plus, which both cost $9.99 per month. iCloud Plus, which starts at 99 cents per month for 50 gigs of storage. The iPhone upgrade program, where you pay to always have the latest iPhone, which starts at $33 per month for the iPhone 13 mini 128 gig. And then to top it off, we have Apple One, which combines all of these services together, excluding the iPhone upgrade program, for $14.99 a month. Add all of these up, and the total in 2 years is $1,854.48 presuming that you buy all of them individually. And after that 2 years, you still don't own your iPhone. If you want to keep that, you gotta keep paying. So you can understand that as far as tech companies are concerned, subscriptions are the future. And Apple isn't the only one. Slowly but surely, pretty much every internet company is slowly creeping towards some sort of monthly payment subscription. Amazon Prime, YouTube Premium, Xbox Game Pass, etc. But this is Apple's big dilemma. Their past strategy doesn't fit perfectly into this new future. If you want to sell a subscription to people, you've got to get your device into as many people's hands as possible. Apple hasn't really done this. If anything, Apple has purposefully sold their phones to fewer people to keep things simple. Apple could have made 5 different phones for every possible price point, but they didn't because they wanted to focus on the few models and really control the end user experience. You can't do that as well with 5 different phones. As a result, Android has had more smartphone user market share worldwide. Even though this group of people is on average a lower income group, it's also a rising income group. So to counter this, Apple has had to become a bit more like Android. They've needed to think to offer multiple phones and multiple different price points. And I think this is the reason why we got the new iPhone SE 3. It's to give long-time iPhone 6 or iPhone 7 users an affordable upgrade option so they don't go over to Android, and also to steal Android users. Because everyone who jumped ship to iPhone is one more person who could subscribe to Apple News Plus and Apple Music, etc. So first up, iOS 15. For the longest time, Android has had a few killer advantages over iOS customization. This is simple features that Apple could have added at any time, but they didn't, because historically Apple has benefited from having tight control over the end user experience. iOS 14 changed that. It introduced a range of all resizable widgets. For the first time ever, you now get an app library, so you don't have to have all your apps on the home screen. You can change your default browser, and picture-in-picture mode means that Apple's multitasking no longer sucks. Why did Apple wait years to add such simple things to their phones? Well, I would say it's because now more than ever, Apple needs Android users to switch to iOS. The new iOS versions are a direct attack on Android. Do you want to know the final piece of the puzzle? I would say it's what's happening to the Mac lineup. If you've ever tried to buy a MacBook, then you'll notice something very funny about them. You have absolutely no idea when the next one is coming out. It could be March, it could be May, it could be not all this year. Isn't that kind of weird from a company that releases their iPhones so on the dot in September or October? Well, long story short, until WWDC 2020, Apple had been relying on Intel to produce its processors and AMD to produce their graphics. And it wasn't paying off. Apple had no control over how much performance improved every time. Sometimes Intel delivers the chip and it's literally like a 5% improvement. And they were also often delayed, which means Apple ended up delivering a late product to consumers and or one that they were not particularly proud of. So a bit off 2 years ago, Apple basically said, forget this, we're going to use our own chips for our MacBooks. And on the face of it, it seemed like just a knee-jerk reaction to Intel's inconsistency. But I'd be willing to bet that Apple had been planning to do that for a long time, to funnel more users into Apple services. As of right now, Apple controls 15% of the computer market, so there's a potential to reach a vast amount of new people who don't use any Apple products, and making their own chips could be the key to that. By using a similar mobile chip to the ones found in the iPhones and the iPad Pro, Apple can make a hyper-efficient laptop in a super slim body with a full 2-day battery life. And call me crazy, there is a chance in the future that Apple could make a cheaper laptop model. When you put them up against other companies like Dell or Acer, which are going to be paying $3 to Intel and AMD for the equivalent chipset and graphics, Apple has a strategic leg up in the fact that they don't have to give them that cut. Other implication of using Apple chips is that it doesn't make Macs more appealing, it also makes Apple's products more appealing for all. Because with these chips, Macs can now use iOS applications, and with a bit of tweaking, iOS can run Mac applications. Apple is bringing together two different user bases, and everyone wins. So, what's the big picture here? How does this all tie together? Am I about to tell you that the Mac is about to merge with the iPad and the iPhone to become sort of super hybrid machine? No. For the simple reason that Apple wants you to buy all of their products. Apple doesn't just want a beta test with a new product category. They want to just have the best products within every existing category. Think about it, at the very center of everything is Apple services. This is where Apple wants to grow and create sustained profit. For a while now, the main entry point into these services has been the iPhone. Once you have an iPhone, you want a music subscription, a place where you can watch TV shows in your pocket, and insightful and deeper news analysis. And the iPhone also leads you to other Apple products, the Apple Watch, AirPods, iPad, etc. However, because the iPhone was expensive and because it was the only real entry point, Apple needed more of a phone to their services. So when they introduced iOS 14 and the iPhone SE, they somewhat had to give up the simplicity and the control they'd worked so hard to create in order to make the iPhones more accessible. Instead of just relying on the iPhone, Apple's now made its other products more distinct and more able to stand up on their own 2 feet. They've turned the iPad from just a big iPhone into a computer with its own iPad OS operating system. They've turned the Apple Watch from an iPhone accessory to an independent smartwatch. It's not just the best smartwatch for if you have an iPhone, it's the best smartwatch full stop. To basically sum it up, the way forward, Apple's master plan is to get people to use their services. It's the only way for them to ensure growth and make sure that they still maintain high profits. The big picture is actually not that complicated if you look at it this way. You know what else is not complicated? Subscribing to KingEthan Tech. It's free and I post insightful content every week. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and hit the like button. See you in the next video.